Here's how we go about this. On the telephone right now, there's a big shot waiting to grace our airwaves. The 4 or 5 of us here on the morning show, you got the Cubby, Wapple, Dana, Ashley. We know who's waiting on the other end of the telephone line. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder do not know. It's not friggin' Russell Wilson.
It could be.
Trying to throw us off by saying it's not, but it is.
Oh, man, I would really enjoy it if we did get him on the phone sometime. I really would. Have him tell that baseball story again that never happened. Some of you remember the baseball story that never happened, that Russell Wilson will tell anybody who will listen to him for a few minutes. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder do not know who this is. So through a series of yes or no questions, we're going to see how long it takes Randy and Brad to figure out who's on the line. You boys can only ask yes or no questions, and our big shot guest can only answer with a yes or a no. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Yep.
Everything okay over there, Wapple? I see you panicking with the telephone up to your gorgeous face.
Yeah, we had the person drop, but we got him back.
Oh, God.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
We got them back.
This will be a... Let's have our wonderful guests give us a simple hello, if they would.
Yeah, hello.
All right. Randy Shaver, would you like to go ahead with your first yes or no question? As we, Josh, we try out another edition of Who Dis?
Who dis?
Randy Shaver.
Are you a current or former Timberwolf player?
No.
Randy, you can only ask one yes or no question.
He sneaks that in.
That was a yes or
I'm
no.
going to wrap in 5 topics into my question here.
It's the second week in a row you've done that, but we'll get back to that. Okay, so the question was, are you a current or former Timberwolf player? And our guest, who we thank so kindly for joining us, he said no. Brad Ryder.
Are you a current or former Timberwolves?
Why are both of you doing this?
because he did.
Oh, it's only fair up, right, Brad?
Fair up.
Fair ups.
I actually have a guess. I have a guess, but I want the question answered first.
You go ahead, Brad.
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
a current or former Timberwolves announcer?
No.
Oh, shoot.
Current
I was going with Michael Grady. Anyway.
Current or former announcer. Okay. Did I hear our guest kind of chuckle a little bit?
That's why I thought it was him, because I thought it sounded like his chuckle.
I
No,
like
that was your dumb chuckle.
Yeah.
Randy Shaver, your next yes or no question.
Tell you what, if Denny was still alive, I would say
Yeah.
yes, if you were Denny.
Oh, yeah, right. You thought maybe. Okay.
Yeah, the chuckle just makes me
Sounded
think of
like
Denny.
the coach, yeah.
It did. Are you a former Viking player?
Yes, I am.
Brad, right.
Well, he doesn't have a guess?
Well, he doesn't.
Well, he's just
Go ahead.
My question.
he's whittling away.
It's
Okay.
a yes or no.
You can't ask a question and then guess.
Yes,
You'll have to wait
correct.
for your next turn.
Right.
Is how.
Brad doesn't know the rules.
No.
Are you about to be inducted into the Vikings Ring of Honor?
No.
No? Okay.
Randy Shaver's turn. We're playing Who Dis. We got a big shot on the phone. All we allow here are yes or no questions and yes or no answers. We've got a few out of the way. Randy, what's on your mind, son?
Are you Chuck Foreman?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to the 93X Half-Ass Morning Show.
I did it again. I won again.
Yeah,
How
you're,
do you keep doing
You're good
this?
at this.
So here's
Yeah.
the thing. The reason why, first of all, Chuck's in the news because he is in line to possibly make the Hall of Fame through the senior committee. And both he and Jim Marshall are on the list. And I am so excited that if that does happen, they both deserve it. And I just think it's super exciting that I know the Vikings have been pushing for Chuck too, and Jim, obviously. So I think it's great that they're getting a little bit closer.
We're excited
their
for
day.
you, Chuck Foreman,
Yeah.
and we thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and all the people that have, Skull Marketing and Ben Tice and Jack Mateek and the videographer. Those are the people, and the fans, of course. Those were the people that put this whole presentation together for the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame committee. And I really appreciate all they've done to get me out there. And there's a couple of things that I've found out during this progress and during this thing is that I have never ever been on the list to be considered and to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And now, the way I see it, I can't say anything about the people that came before me, that played before me, nor can I say anything about the people that came after me to be on this list. But I can only say during my time of playing in the NFL, there were some good players, no question about it. But there was nobody that did it the way we did it here in Minnesota, with the fullback being a runner receiver and breaking all the records there was before that. It never got any consideration. Right. That was kind of shocking to me. But all in all, these guys put this whole thing together and did a lot of work, did a lot of research, and put together a great presentation to give to the Hall of Fame committee. So I got down to from the 183 to, I think they said 60 yesterday. And so it's, wait and see.
It's interesting to me, Chuck Foreman. I don't know anything about the process of it seems so. It seems like they put you through such a ringer for this. Where here's my question: you mentioned this video and whatnot, this campaign. Right. Shouldn't a player just be considered for his numbers, his accomplishments? You were a pioneer in the game, as you mentioned it already, as a pass-catching running back. So I think it's kind of silly personally that you have to sell yourself like this. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, first of all, everybody thought I was already a Hall of Fame player. You understand that? I mean, you go to everybody already thought I was in.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, wait a minute, why would they think that? And so anyway, like I said, about 3.5 years ago, I met this great guy, Ben Tice. He runs Skull Marketing in Hopkins, and then we talked about it, and he's done a lot of other great things for me as far as social media and stuff. But he said, well, look, we need to do this on our own because nobody else is going to do it or has done it. So I've never been pushed to go there from anybody. So we decided to do it on our own, and this is how we got to where we are today. So those guys did a great job.
All right. So Jim Marshall made the cut as well?
I'm not, I'm sure I think he did.
I think he did.
I think he did. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even all privy to all that because I didn't even know much about how the selection committee worked until we started researching it, and and then found out that I was never even on the list to be considered in my era, which kind of
crazy.
Yeah, it shocked me anyway. But and that's why we decided to go on and do it this way, to put the presentation in front of the committee and see where it goes.
Okay. So there'll be another round of cuts and then another round of cuts, and the players who remain will be, I'm not sure when this is announced. Is it Randy Shaver, Chuck Foreman? When is this announced? When will
the Hall of Fame is normally announced during Super Bowl time.
Okay.
But I don't know about the senior committee.
Okay.
I think it's it's kind of like baseball has a different timeline for their senior committee as opposed to when the baseball writers vote. Because remember, Tony and Jim got in December. When normally the committee comes out with their vote at a different time frame. So I'm not sure when this.
Okay, I see Jim Marshall's name on the list of players who remain eligible for the class of 2025. So congratulations also to Jim Marshall. Okay, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Chuck Foreman. If there's anything that we can do to help, is there anything that the average Vikings fan can do to help this process, or or what?
Well, no, the only thing I know is like we're getting a lot of support from the fans around, of course, on my website and everything else. So it's been really, really great. And like I said before, most people already thought I was in, and so now they don't. So now they know that I'm not. And so the people have been really great. The fans in Minnesota, all over, and so we're getting a lot of support. So now it's in their hands. That's all we can do. And of course, we can keep talking about me being there. That's for sure, no question about that. But I think the presentations is in front of the people that it needs to be, and I'm just happy to be for the first time on the list to be considered, because I thought I never knew how the process went. But so now we're on there, and I'm grateful for that. And so let's just wait and see, and we'll go from there.
We'll get her done.
Yeah.
We'll get her done. How's everything otherwise? Chuck Foreman, man. I mean, we all grew up watching you play ball here for the Vikings and have seen you around town since. And we're
well, I'm really good. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm in a good place. What can I say? I'm a happy guy. I got a good. I'm in a good situation and enjoying. I'm getting out on the road here and I'm going out and meeting a lot of the fans pretty much every weekend, and outside of Minneapolis and outstate Minnesota. So I'm just meeting a lot of great people and a lot of great fans, and it's good for me because now I'm just reassured. Wow, there's a lot of great people out here, so I'm happy to be able to do that.
We remember. We remember, that's for sure. It says here you got a gig coming up on October 20th. You go out to Vikings Watch Parties. You got one October 20th at Sippy's Pub and Grub in Winona. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I've never been there, but Sippy sounds like it might be interesting.
Guess what they're sipping?
A sippy here and a sippy there.
Down Winona, right on the water. It might be fun.
And
so I'm sure it will be, because every place I've been the comfy. I've learned how the farming's changed, with the drones and things like that. I've been all over the place. I mean, I've been meeting people in little small towns, and it's been really exciting. I'm happy to be there and meet all these great people. So I'm really blessed, to be, after all these years, to be able to still get out and do these kind of things. I know I'm in a good place, and I'm really appreciative of it.
You still coaching, Chuck Foreman? You coaching high school sports and whatnot?
No, I've never coached, because I figured if anybody could coach me, I'd probably drive them crazy. So I didn't want to coach in high school or anything like that. That would be, if I had to deal with somebody, all these different personalities, I don't know if I could handle it.
I actually misspoke. What I meant to ask you is if you're still teaching.
Oh, well, no, I didn't go in much last year because of COVID, but I'm going to start, going in, I guess, pretty soon. So I get calls every day. So I guess one of these days I'll get up and go in.
Randy Shaver here is one of your biggest supporters and a big supporter of the Bud Grant Vikings teams and the Purple People Eater era and Tarkington and yourself and Rashad. Randy Shaver is one of the biggest Vikings fans, 70s Vikings fans I've ever met. Randy, you got to have something to say here to Chuck.
Obviously, I mean, when Chuck Foreman, the Vikings were really one of the first teams under Jerry Burns to be like what West Coast offense looks like now. I think the 49ers get the credit for being the first West Coast, but that's not necessarily true. And Chuck Foreman was part of that. He had 73 catches in 1975, which I want to say led the league, and the first time that a running back ever did that.
That's crazy.
To have
a running back lead the league in receptions. Yeah,
I mentioned this the other day. And I think I've said this before, and now that Chuck's on the line, he can actually talk about it. When Chuck got hit by a snowball in Buffalo in his eye, and I think it cost you, did it cost you the running title that year?
Yeah, I lost it by like 6 yards to a guy named Jim Otis. And I was just in the third quarter, so I would have probably, and I was having a really good game. Everybody was on top of their game. Everybody, everybody was just,
Talk about what happened. Tell everybody what happened, Chuck, because it's, describe it.
I went out coming out of the backfield, going to catch a pass, and I caught it, but the guy threw a snowball, ice ball. It was an ice ball. It came through, went into my eye, and I had double vision. And after that, and so Bud, decided to keep me out of the game, and so that was how it went. And we were having I think I scored 4 touchdowns. I probably could have scored 6, but they didn't put me back in. And OJ and I were going back and forth. He had 21. I had scored 4, so we tied up at 22. And then at the end of the game, somehow he got loose and scored another touchdown, which gave him 23. And so
some jerk in the stands cost you a rushing title.
Yeah,
he cost me the Triple Crown, the first that would have been ever to done that.
Right,
so,
right.
But you know what, though? I don't know how many years later, this guy that threw that snowball tracked me down.
No way.
Yes, he did. I'm gonna tell you, Jack. What's his name? Joe DeLamiere called me from Buffalo and told me he had this guy that he had met at one of his signings or something, and he was the guy that threw the snowball.
Dude.
Yeah, he's the one that threw the ice ball, whatever you call it. And would I mind if he called me?
Really?
And he called me, and I apologized, and yeah.
The guy had been feeling remorse and guilt ever since that day, and
for about 30 years.
That's crazy.
I get it. I would too.
That was kind of fun, but yeah, he was really, really sorry about it, and that was really a good thing that happened.
Maybe you should consider yourself lucky, Chuck Foreman. Have you seen what they're throwing out of the stands in Buffalo these days?
Oh yeah, Buffalo was. My son played there, and I went up there when Jay played up in there, and let me tell you, I was in the stands up there, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to go to a suite or something. Yeah, they are really passionate about their football up in Western New York. Mm-hmm. And those are fans that kind of rowdy. So I don't know if I'd ever go. If the Vikings ever played up there, I don't think I'd be going up there to watch it.
You could still take those punks if you wanted to, Chuck Foreman.
Yeah, right.
Have you been watching? Give us your thoughts on the current Vikings ball club.
Well, I'm very, very excited about it. And here's another thing I was going to say. When we talk about these quarterbacks coming out of college and they, rank really high and they've got a lot of ability, and then the unfortunate thing, they go to the crappiest team in the NFL who have nobody around them so that they can showcase their skill set. And with Sam Darnold, he's the perfect example. He goes to New York Jets. They have nothing. They pretty much ruined him in a little bit, but he still had that physical ability, and I always thought that he could still play it. He was with the right team. Traded around, comes back, and here he is in Minnesota. He's got the right people around him, the right coach, the right team, and now he's able to showcase the skills that we knew he always had. So, and I didn't know he could run like that. So he's doing great. We got great receivers, and of course, JJ's the best in the business. The offensive line, of course, is just playing out of sight, and the running game's going. So when you got all those things going, you can do some great things. So I'm hoping if the Vikings stay healthy, they'll be definitely in the hunt.
Let me ask you one more question regarding the Buffalo Bills. What do you think of a guy who grows up here in Minnesota with such a rich tradition of outstanding NFL players like yourself and the Purple People Eaters and people like Bud Grant, and then one day he decides to just disregard all of that and cheer for the Buffalo Bills? What do you think of a guy that does something like that, Chuck Foreman?
Oh, boy.
I think he might need a tune-up.
You have no idea.
That's what I think on that one.
A tune-up. You are a friggin' pimp, Chuck Foreman.
just had to say that. You can't, that's the only thing I could say, obviously.
No, I know. We know. We know what it's like to have to behave ourselves on radio.
Yeah, I do.
Chuck, it says here, I understand you're very social, very active on social media. Can we be your friend on Facebook?
You certainly can.
All right.
I'd be more than happy to have you.
Have you seen Moo Dang the Baby Hippo?
Can't say I have.
Okay. Maybe you want to look that up. Moo Dang the Baby Hippo. Everyone's going crazy for him. And Skibbity Toilet. Hey, Chuck. Dude, this has been such an honor. You're a legend. We're going to be keeping our fingers crossed and rooting for you getting into the Hall of Fame. If there's something we could do, you let us know, Chuck.
Well, I'll definitely do that, and I appreciate you having me on. And Randy, I'll get to that golf tournament one of these days. Now that I'm healed,
I know you will.
Swing that club, so
I will keep inviting you because I
keep
want you out
inviting
there.
me, man. Because it's not that I can't, I don't want to. I just haven't been able to. But it's, I'm really, really thankful that you guys had me on this morning. It's been great. Good way to start the day.
Love you, Chuck Foreman.
Yeah,
thank you very
sir.
much, you guys.
Randy could use a tune-up, See you later, man.
I think we all can.
But we all got one coming. Thank you, Chuck Foreman, for joining the program. There you go.